What's up, Internet? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to review my 2015 ZX10R.
Number one, I don't like the fact that the fairing doesn't come all the way up the side of the windscreen. If you look at all the other crotch rockets out there, BMW, all the rice burners, the fairing, this part right here, comes up alongside the windscreen all the way up to the end of the windscreen on both sides. The reason why I don't like it is because the windscreen just doesn't look like it fits the bike. It's like it's literally too small for the bike. If you look at the windscreen from the back, I mean, it just doesn't fit. It looks like it was made for a smaller bike. Now they fixed that on the 2016 and newer bikes. The fairing comes all the way up the side on both sides of the windscreen, and it just looks. This is another area where I think Kawasaki has completely dropped the ball, and that's their instrument cluster, tachometer, the whole instrument panel. Pretty much every manufacturer at this point, European and Japanese, has migrated to full color LCD screens, and they're absolutely amazing. In Kawasaki, they've been using this same instrument cluster for years. Even the 2020 is still using the same instrument cluster, and it's just outdated. I'm sure it was really cool at the time, but at this point, this is definitely one of the areas Kawasaki needs to catch up to the rest of the competition. I mean, they make a great bike that's powerful and handles really well, performs really well. They've won World Superbike 5 years in a row. They obviously know how to get the machine to perform, but this outdated instrument cluster, man, it's got to go. It just has to go. This is probably my biggest gripe about this bike, and I think it holds true through the 2020 edition because they haven't changed the instrument cluster at all, to my knowledge. Now I'm about to turn the ignition on. I'm not going to start the engine, but I'm just going to turn the ignition on, and there'll be a red warning light on the left for oil pressure, and there'll be a yellow warning light on the right that's related to this electronic steering dampener. And the yellow warning light on the right will go out. The red warning light on the left will stay on until you start the engine and oil pressure comes up, and then it'll go out. So there's the red on the left. You see the yellow on the right. The yellow has gone out. The red stays on. It'll stay on until I start the engine and oil pressure comes up. And I'm not going to do that right now. But my gripe about this configuration is that the red warning light on the left actually has two purposes. I made a whole video about this. It drove me nuts, so I decided to make a video. And that video ended up being my most popular video. It still gets views daily, almost daily, today. And it's almost a year-old video, and people are still watching it, which just tells me that this is a common problem that a lot of Ninja owners are going through. So the dual purpose is, you can see right here, you've got this little yellow, I'm sorry, not yellow, but this oil icon, and you can see a little bit of oil dripping out of the spout. I mean, that's kind of a universal icon, and that's supposed to tell you that you've got an oil pressure problem, right? Well, this red warning light also is used to indicate a problem with the fuel injection system. So I think this is a bad design because, at least here in the United States, we're trained to know that when we see that red warning light, that's an oil pressure problem, and that's a detrimental problem to the motor. You could blow your motor. So you see that red warning light, you're just trained to turn it off. And I had a problem a couple of years ago going into the winter season, and this red warning light came on and stayed on after I started the engine. So of course, immediately I freaked out. I shut the engine off, started reading through the user manual, the owner's manual, and realized that I didn't have an oil pressure problem, that there was actually a problem with the fuel injection system, and there was, instead of this icon for the oil, I had the letters FI for fuel injection. Come to find out, the fuel injection warning will go off, and also the electronic steering dampener yellow warning on the right will also go off if there is a problem with the charging system or your battery is below optimal voltage in amperage, right? So, I hate that. I think that was a really bad design. Kawasaki should have used the yellow warning light on the right for the fuel injection and the ESD, and left the red warning light on the left for oil pressure and nothing else. I think that was really confusing, and this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Although it gave me the opportunity to make a video that still gets views almost daily a year later. Alright, so we've got some toggle buttons over here to the left of the lights. I can kind of toggle through a couple of things. We got tripometer A, tripometer B. We've got miles per gallon, which doesn't show us anything right now because we're not riding the bike, so that's like a real time. And then if we toggle through, we've got an average 38.6 miles per gallon. Clearly, I need to twist the throttle harder and go a lot faster. Almost 40 miles per gallon is good. This is the one that doesn't make any sense to me. This is how many gallons of fuel you have used since you reset the value, right? So usually what I do is I fill up my tank and I reset this back to 0. So since my last fill up, I've used half a gallon. Why? What am I supposed to do with this? This just doesn't make any sense. Just put a fuel gauge on there. I mean, if you're gonna tell me how much fuel I used, I would rather see what we're all used to seeing, and that is, how much do I have left, right? How much fuel do I have left? Just show me a standard fuel gauge. Come on, guys, get with it.
You really can't go wrong with this bike. I was probably coming off pretty harsh there for a bit, but there's really only less than a handful of things that I really complain about, and most of it has to do with that instrument cluster. But other than that, it's a great bike, man. I would recommend it to anybody. Okay, that's it. That's all I got. Short video, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you learned a little something about the ZX10R, and yeah, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Subscribe, like, share.